You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, how's it going, man? I'm having some technical difficulties right now. So how do I sound? Am I loud and clear or what?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know about the people in the chat. They can let you know if they can hear you well. Yeah,
Right.
I let them. I let everybody know on Twitter that we were going to be a little bit delayed here, but things happen. There's a major storm going on out here in New Jersey on the East Coast. So yeah, I'm dealing with my own issues out here. So
cool. Well, good, man. Good. Well, glad everything's good, man. Trying to get the show on the road, dude. We got some stuff to talk about. I know. Let's get into the league review, because I know last time we spoke, you guys were bowling for first place. You were all jazzed, man. You were ready to roll. You thought you guys were going to win the league. And you know what? I called you out because I wanted you to bring on GQ, because you talked about GQ pretty much carrying the team this summer league.
Whoa! I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say for the whole summer league for a couple weeks. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll get into that first. Yeah, listen, I hate to say this. It pains me to say this, but yeah, it didn't end well. It didn't end well at all.
All right, well, I want to get this review from GQ himself.
We're bringing him on. We have a guest tonight. You know, it's not our norm, Rob. Usually we're bringing on like names that everybody would know, but this week we're bringing on somebody who's related to the bowling community that most people will not be familiar with. So yeah, come on, Rob.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh God, this guy shows up with a giant shirt on.
Oh my God, Lord!
Son. Come on,
Jesus Christ!
Come on.
How's it feel to be on air with an Eagles and a Jets fan?
Wow! Oh my gosh! Wow, that's double trouble right there, huh?
All right, so let's get into it here. Rob, go ahead, take it wherever you want.
GQ, it's your time to shine, brother. Mike every week was doing a league review about what went down in league, how he bowled, how you bowled. So I'm I'm punting it to you, as the Giants are used to doing in punting. So I'm gonna punt it over to you, man. Last week of league, what happened? What were the lanes doing? How'd Mike bowl? How'd you bowl?
Yeah, Mike hung with the guy. What was it? Mike DJ Barshewski.
Good local bowler. Very good local bowler.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, GQ.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, I just choked, Rob. That's really what it comes down to. I got nervous. I mean, what really hurts me is that the following night, last Friday, I bowled at the King of the Hill, and I actually had the high series out of the entire competition. I shot over an 800 with handicap, but scratch, I shot like a 717. I mean, and I don't even think I broke 200 last Thursday in our matchup. Wow. So that really that stung even more. Yeah, but
so you guys lost, huh?
Yeah, and as a result of us getting swept, I think that we ended up taking third, which because us getting swept caused Mike, like a roll off between the other two teams?
No, the roll off never happened because the other team lost the last game. But yes, we did end up dropping from first to third in the last week because we got swept. And you know what? GQ is and his actual name is Mike, for those that are interested. I just call him GQ. It's a nickname from college, but so he's being a little hard on himself, saying that it's his fault that we lost. So if I give a little bit of a closer breakdown of what happened, in the 10th frame of the first game, I had a chance to double and win the game for us. And I got the first one. And honestly, the second one was probably the worst shot I threw all night.
Oh, the choke.
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily call it a choke. It was just a bad time for a bad shot. It wasn't even – the situation wasn't even really like if I struck, we were definitely going to win, because there were still shots to be thrown on the other side as well. But it definitely would have put us in a better position. And, yeah, that kind of snowballed things from there.
The people want to know how it's like bowling with Big Mike, though. We got to hear what is it bowling like?
Listen, it was great. Like, you know, he would sit behind me every time that I'd go up to the lane and tell me which fundamentals I was doing well on, which I needed a little bit more work on. And we go back to we had a reunion back in November, and we started practicing, and he broke down everything from scratch. He got me new equipment. We got my bowls plugged and re-drilled and whatnot, and he rebuilt me from the ground up. So I had a blast this summer. It was awesome.
So every shot, he was sitting right behind you and analyzing you. Yeah. Man, that sounds like a micromanager to me, man. I don't know if I want to bowl with Big Mike.
I needed it. I soaked it all in. I had a great, it was great because I'm definitely, I feel I'm a much different bowler than I was the past 5 years when I started league bowling. Let's put it that way.
Sure. So are you interested in, or do you want to bowl a winter league? Are you more interested in learning on a sports shot, or just kind of continue on the house league pattern?
So I have two leagues that I bowl Tuesday and Wednesday nights at Boonton Lanes up in Boonton, New Jersey. And I've been committed to those leagues now for the past 5 years. I am committed for this fall and winter, so I am going to go through with that. But I am definitely intrigued to get, to learn more about the game and to, shoot on real patterns, if you will. I do understand how easy it is.
You could tell that I've been schooling them. You can tell that I've been schooling. But Rob, listen, there's somebody in the chat, Benjamin Levy, who's saying that they actually bowl in the same center as Mike, and they've seen some of the improvement, and they're commenting on my coaching job here.
Appreciate that,
yeah, no doubt, I appreciate that too. But no, listen, I honestly, I had a great time bowling for the summer. It was more about socializing and getting it together than it was about the actual bowling. I told Mike, I didn't care whether we finished first, last. It didn't matter. He wanted to learn a little bit. It was an opportunity for us to get together and kind of socialize. And I'll say, it did show me a bit of the value of that side of the game, right? If I bowled a league where every week the guys I bowled with, I enjoyed hanging out with them a lot, and we went out to dinner before, after, whatever, that would make it a lot more enjoyable than just showing up and bowling on house conditions and, me feeling like it's not all that competitive. But yeah, I had a really good time. I think we'll likely bowl together again next summer. I'm hoping that maybe GQ by next summer, after a few more lessons, is ready to step up to something a little bit tougher, maybe. But we'll see. I mean, Rob, you know as well as everybody, as anyone, that you have to get to a certain level before you even get deep into the sports side of the game. Would you agree with that?
Honestly, I would be interested on GQ if he was getting reintroduced to bowling, if he would have never even seen a house shot ever and just started to learn on sports shots. I would be curious to see how someone maybe might learn quicker. It's almost like a video game, starting it on hard level, then starting from easy, going to medium, and then hard. Are you going to get better faster than bowling first being introduced to a house shot, maybe learning some bad habits from the house shot, and then trying to convert over to a sports shot? I kind of feel like maybe I think if you have serious coaching behind you from the get-go, you might be able to do that. But I think if you don't, a lot of bowlers are kind of going to be paralyzed and just be throwing it at the head pin, kind of, and playing safety to a degree. Look, it's all coaching. It's all coaching because in a sports shot, you got to know how to play the lanes, what equipment to use, and it's a whole nother level of bowling. But I kind of feel like just if you do have coaching behind you that know what they're doing, bowling is a very easy sport to become a 200 average quick, and that's even on a sports shot, right? And I would say, my opinion, if you're a 185 to a 190 average on a sports shot, that is equivalent to probably a 215 or a 220 on a house shot. So GQ, man, stay with it.
Yep.
I hopefully next year we're still doing the podcast, and we want to hear. The league review is a big hit here. Everybody listening to Mike bitch about him almost shooting 300. And I think the theme of the summer for Big Mike is the fact that he choked a lot during the league season. Choked on 300s.
I threw so many bad shots. It's ridiculous. Like there were some shots I couldn't even believe how bad I threw it, honestly.
Well, I mean, look. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, GQ.
Now, one thing that I did want to point out, though, is that, at a lot of centers and whatnot and on the house shot, I see folks walk in with, 2 bags or, 2 bags that hold 4 or 5 bags in each bag, whatnot. This guy used 1 ball the entire summer. 1 ball. Not counting a spare ball. So,
that's house shot. So I feel like we got to get Mike. We got to build up his house equipment a little bit to get him some different balls in his bag.
Yeah, no, I do. I need. If I was to continue bowling on the house shots, I would definitely need some different options for the house equipment because my options were extremely limited, and it kind of handcuffed me a bit at certain times. But listen, Rob, GQ is into it, man. Like he's bowling 2 leagues this winter. He's going to invest in some new equipment and kind of update his stuff a little bit with some of the money we get back from our league, I think. And, I think, we're going to continue to get together every so often when we can and practice and get it in. And, we'll see where we're at next summer. But we were actually going to bowl a doubles King of the Hill this Friday, but he had some plans come up. I was going to go up his way, and we were going to do dinner. Well, he told me he would take me out to a steakhouse. Yes. The place sounded fancy. So I was like, all right, I'll drive up there and bowl the doubles on the house shot with you if you bribe me with a fancy steakhouse. But he had some plans come up, and we're not going to be doing that. But, we're definitely going to look for some opportunities to bowl throughout the winter and get together. And like I said, I had a really good time. It was a really good league. I enjoyed the conversations I had with some of the guys that we bowled against as well. I tried to keep it as light as possible. I think I did a good job of that. But I want to ask GQ, so, like, now we're not bowling together for the winter. You're going into your winter league. Like, give me 2 or 3 things. Tell the people 2 or 3 things you're going to take away from our lessons together and our time together.
Yep. So the first thing would be to sort of set myself up before I pick the ball up. Take a couple deep breaths. Take that resin bag, the sweep the rack resin bag. Pump it on the top of put it on the top of the ball. I think the 2 big things on the approach and delivery I'm going to work on is staying down and posting. I think that's what's definitely needs improvement, but I have that in my head on what to do thanks to this guy. So, Mike, I appreciate everything this summer. It was great. I appreciate everything.
Yeah, so no doubt, man.
I got a quick fire question before we let you go, GQ.
Yep.
Jets, Eagles, Giants. Give us the 3 records, finished total, and the regular season records. Prediction.
Remember, there's 17 games this year. 17 games.
So you guys are gonna think that I'm gonna put the Giants out on top of a pedestal. I'm actually a realist fan. Okay. I'm gonna go 7-10 for the Giants. I want Danny Dimes off the team. I'm not a fan of him. I think the Jets are gonna be right in that area. I'll give them maybe 8 wins or so. And I think the Eagles will get maybe 10 or 11 wins. We'll say maybe.
Wow, 10 and 11 wins for the Eagles. Yeah. That's crazy talk. Okay,
yeah. Well, I mean, but look what I said for the Giants. So
Eagles have a lot of weapons, though. I don't know, but
weapons.
I don't have faith in Nolan. Anyway,
GQ, thanks for joining us, brother. Stay in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right,
thanks,
GQ,
guys.
I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt. So, Rob, Any reaction there to some of what he said?
Yo, it doesn't surprise me that you took him under your wing, right, and made him the bowler that he is, becoming. I think did you freeze? Okay, you froze for a sec. I would love to see. So, what was your averages, real quick, because we got a lot to talk about. What did you guys finish with average?
I'll be honest. I didn't even really pay that much attention. I think he finished around 187 or so, and I think I was in the neighborhood of like 225 for the summer.
So that's sure. I want you, Mike. If you're going to bowl next summer, I want you to step your game up this winter. Now that hopefully the bowling alleys stay open. And you got to get to 235 next year in that league if you stay in it. And you got to come prepared. Come correct, man. Like, come with, like, at least 4 balls with you, bro. Like, you need at least 4 balls on the house shot. Get some different surfaces, some different layouts. And, I want to see you at 235 with a 300, too. So
Yeah,
other
I
than
know.
that, man,
I'm not going to make excuses though. I should have bowled better than I did. I should have
yeah,
thrown
but
better than I did.
you didn't bowl for a while too, so I'll give you some leeway on that too. It's tough not bowling for almost 10 months and then going in and trying to like average 230. Even though they're dead easy, you still need to like have some sort of clue on the house shot to average
True,
230.
no doubt. Robert Hamilton is asking if I got another chance to bowl the guy that beat me. Luckily beat me and then snubbed me. No, I did not. I had the opportunity to bowl him, but I'll be honest, I got so frustrated by the easiness of the house conditions and the fact that like if you're bowling in a match like that, it pretty much comes down to who doesn't carry or whatever. That I told him like, no, if you want to bowl me, we got to bowl on something real. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in our episode here. We got a couple other things to get to. So Rob, quickly, you're the one doing the podcasting and asking questions, etc. But you actually were on a podcast last night, I believe.
I was, and it was interesting because this is probably the first time I've really been interviewed. I mean, like in-depth interviewed, and we usually do the in-depth interviewing here when we do have guests on. It was fun. So the podcast was a podcast called Bowling with the Pfeff. It's by Andrew Pfeffer. And, props to Andrew Pfeffer. Like, if you don't know about his podcast, I really recommend you checking it out, at least checking the one out from yesterday that I was on. And it was fun because he went into depth just about my career and about my growing up, bowling juniors. Me and you, we talked a lot about you. We talked a lot about Bill. We talked a lot about junior bowling. We talked about Gil Hodges Lanes. And we talked about just, my upbringing in it. And I mean, look, like, I'm not going to say it wasn't fun talking about myself for about an hour and a half, but it was, Mike. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, so at the end of the episode, he does a thing where you get to call out someone to get interviewed. And Mike, I called you out. I think you would be a great interview to actually someone to ask you about your background and your coaching background and, growing up as a bowler and growing up, you were actually friends with Bill, I believe a lot longer than I've been friends with Bill. So,
No, not too much, honestly, not too much, a couple of years maybe, but, yeah, no doubt. Listen, I'll definitely reach out. Mostly, I'll be honest, I would really like to talk about some of my coaching experiences. I know you were busting my chops on the show. We're like laughing, referring to me as the GOAT, the self-proclaimed GOAT of New Jersey high school bowling coaches. But no, listen, I have some interesting stories from the coaching, and I kid about it here. I don't talk about it in seriousness a lot here, but it probably is like my biggest accomplishment in bowling, and I've won some tournaments here and there in the local area, especially like in the early 2000s when I was bowling more. But
I'll tell you the one thing that I got out of being interviewed from him is how prepared he comes to the interview. I mean, he reached out for quotes from Deandra, from Bill.
Yeah, he did.
He got quotes from you, and he reached out to Tim Buck for a quote.
That was the best part of the interview.
The best.
Oh my God, I was losing it when I heard that part of the interview.
And he asked Tim Buck for a quote, and Tim Buck was like, "No
comment." No comment. Yeah, it's so good.
So, to me, that was like the highlight of the interview because I fell over, and he wanted to know if he was ever going to come on the show, and man, like it was too good. So. Shout outs to Bowling with the Pfeff, Andrew Pfeff, for having me on. Hopefully we get to see you on, later, and that would be a great interview. So check out his podcast. Props to him. And I feel like we just need to all support each other as content creators to try to grow bowling. And we could all do our part in doing that. And, you had a great comment last week, Mike, about how like people could start their own sport league shots. And, I feel like that's so important that people get involved instead of just, bitching about why, bowling is the way it is and actually get up and do something about it. And we're trying to do our part, try to, get fans involved and become, part of bowling instead of just, bitching about bowling. So Anyway,
True. My favorite part of the interview was that he reached out to Jeff Rickles, and
Oh.
Jeff Rickles called us the what was it, the bomb
The
throwers, the
the
bomb
bomb,
throwers of the bowling podcast game or something. I'm like, I don't know, I gotta
the two
say,
loud guys, the two loud guys at the bar yelling.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I think if people knew behind the scenes a lot of what we know and don't comment on, they might not take that viewpoint so seriously. But I'll leave it at that. So Rob, you refer to the sports side of the game and the promotion of that, and I had a conversation on Twitter with an account that it's a Ava Tarless account. The person says that they're like a high level bowler and have been in the pro shop business and have bowled at a high level for a long time, but don't really compete anymore. Had a conversation with them where, they express frustration with the current standing of the game. And, I think where I'm at is like, we all know that the powers that be in bowling clearly aren't going to do much to push change, right? Because, and I think we all know why. I think it's because, there's a lot of fear out there that certain change might crush the game for good. Okay. And I understand that, right? So I do joke around on here about 40 feet flat or nothing and get rid of house patterns. But to be serious for a minute, I know that that's not a reality in bowling, right? Not anywhere in the immediate or even distant future from what I can see. Okay. For instance, this weekend, Rob, Dougie, shout to Dougie. He ran an event. I was in the building. I went to watch a couple people that I know bowl. Rob, 128 people in this event. Okay, bracket event. 3 games the first round, single game elimination the rest of the way through, on a house pattern, handicap, 80% of 230. But 128 people, man. So clearly that side of the game is not going anywhere, right? And just getting rid of it isn't a reality. So my point to this person on Twitter that I was talking about was we really, in all seriousness, have to try our best to start, grassroots opportunities in various areas for sport bowling, right, and for competition on lane patterns that are a little bit more demanding. So with that said, and I know that I talk a lot of shit on this podcast, and I come on here and constantly voice off about issues in bowling. But in this instance, I have been doing some work behind the scenes to try and take a step to do what I'm encouraging other people to do. So I'm really excited to announce, and honestly, I don't know how it's going to turn out. It might just turn out where it's just me and a couple guys practicing every other week. But I did make an arrangement with a local center, Nob Hill Country Lane. Shout to them. Shout to Nob Hill Country Lanes and their manager there, Karen, for helping me out. But I am actually, Rob, starting on September 24th. I'm going to have a couple pairs of sport patterns to start out every other Friday, starting September 24th, and then every other Friday after that. There's also a junior gold league that bowls at that time. So I'm sure there'll be some younger guys there, guys and girls bowling on the tougher stuff. I'm only starting out with 2 or 3 pairs. The lineage is pretty much just regular lineage. We're not getting any kind of special deal or anything like that. Initially, Rob, I'm kind of looking at it as like an open practice session. Anybody who's in my area, Jersey area, central Jersey area, Jersey Shore area, even if you're further and you want to come out, open practice session, for sport bowling. I want to try and have some guests there if we can build it up a little bit and come in and give some instruction and some advice about how to bowl on certain patterns, or just general advice about improving physical game. I would also like to eventually, if I can get this off the ground and get some people interested, I would like to kind of turn it into some kind of informal competition, right? Like, Rob, you and I, some of the best times we had in bowling, and your interview with on Bowling with Pfeff reminded me of this too. Some of the best times that you and I have had bowling is like the informal things we bowled, right? Like the brackets at Gil Hodges that you talked about on the podcast. Like that wasn't a formal event. That was just like, hey, we're here on Fridays. There's somebody here running brackets. Show up if you want, bowl some brackets. That's about it. We might have 15 guys. We might have 50, but we're here, we're bowling, and that's what we do here, right? In Levittown lanes, where me and Bill and Joe Palooza grew up, they had something called pill doubles, which was where, if there were 12 guys, you would put 12 numbered pills in a jar. Everybody would pull one out. 1, 2 matches up, 3, 4 matches up, 5, 6 matches up, etc. You had a doubles pot, you had a singles pot. In every game, you switched partners, you got a new partner, right? So these informal competitions, not only are they fun, but they're low stakes, right? Like when we used to bowl the pill doubles, I think it was like $5 per game, and that covered your lineage. And I was back in the late 90s, so you're probably bowling it for $1 a game, and $4 is going to the pot. So today it might be a little bit more, but you understand, and I think most of our listeners understand what I mean by small stakes. So I have that in mind on one side, but Rob, I also at the same time want to create some what I think will be good content for our podcast here. So while I am having open practice sessions, and I hope to turn that into some sort of informal competition, I'm also going to be inviting some accomplished league bowlers, house shot bowlers, who don't have a lot of experience on patterns. And I'm going to be inviting them in to bowl matches against me. The matches might be for something as simple as a bet. It might be as simple as a dinner. We might bowl. I don't know. I might have people that want to bowl me for serious money. I'm open to whatever. If there's people out there from the local area that are watching and you're interested in trying the sport patterns out, don't have a lot of experience on them, especially if you're, an accomplished league bowler, hit me up. And let's get together. Let's do it. I want to be clear that it's not on some elitist, oh, I'm better and I bowl on. No, here's what it's about. It's about creating content that honestly shows the difference between the two sides of the game, right? I want to sit down with people beforehand and have a conversation about what their expectations are, then bowl, then sit down after, have a conversation about how things went. And hopefully, Rob, you and I can kind of use that content here and, push the conversation forward a little bit, I think. I already have 2 people who are going to bowl the first 2 matches against me. It's 2 guys that I know who I'm actually friends with. So obviously the stakes for what we're bowling for aren't going to be very high, but I do think that the content it creates will be kind of interesting. So I'm excited to put that out there. I'm excited to do that and start that. I hope I get some people interested. If you're from the local area, again, starting September 24th, Nob Hill Country Lanes, 7 p.m. we're going to start. I have the lanes until about 10:30 maybe. 7 p.m. we're going to start. Open practice, couple pairs of sport shots. If anybody wants to put some informal competitions together, I'm down. I may also be somewhat busy bowling matches, especially these first couple weeks. But by all means, I'll have other pairs done. Feel free to come out, practice. And I'm going to have some special guests, Rob. I'm going to do my best to kind of build it up. I plan to have some good bowlers come out and practice with us, give us some advice about patterns and how to bowl on them. And, we'll see how it goes.
What about maybe starting Friday night brackets?
What's up?
Start Friday night brackets, man.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've thought a little bit about like what informal competition might be best, and I actually reached out to a few people whose opinions I respect to kind of get some ideas. And I'll be honest, I think it has to be something a little bit lower stakes than that, right? Like to run a bracket thing, you're going to have people invest a minimum of $20, $25. They're going to have to bowl 3 games minimum. So, I'm thinking more something along the lines of like, everybody throws up $5 and we eliminate the 2 lowest scores every game.
Right.
Something like that, right? and somebody gave me that idea, so I'll give the person the shout who gave me that idea. That didn't come from me, but I really liked that idea because it gives people a chance to struggle but still stay in it, right? And I think that's an important part of the sport bowling experience. Like sometimes you come out to bowl, whether it's a formal or an informal event, and you shoot 120 or 130 the first game and you're out of it, and your opinion kind of changes. It's like you're negative the rest of the day and you feel beat up instead of trying to use it as a learning experience and get a little bit better.
Look, that's a great idea. I feel like if everybody would do something like that at their local house that knew the manager and is able to, I guess, give some kind of education to bowlers, especially like local bowlers in the area who don't have experience with patterns, and they can start converting a lot of these house bowlers to, high-level competitive bowlers. And everybody did that around their local centers, and it would improve entries into tournaments and leagues, kind of what you're talking about with Dougie Vision, right? Where they had 128 bowlers on the house shop bowling a handicap tournament, right? But how many people are you getting for your league, your sport league, right? You barely have like
we're trying to pull
teams.
30.
Yeah. So
trying to get 30 is a problem.
Right. And this is the problem with bowling. This is the major issue with bowling. And I want to talk a little bit about this because you have 128 people showing up for a house handicap tournament and can't get 30 people for a doubles or triples, sports shot league, right? First off, the handicap system is broken. Okay. I've said it numerous times on this podcast. We've heard that from numerous people we've interviewed that have talked about the handicap system. To me, when we talk about the USBC or whoever has to come in and start really reevaluating where the game is right now and how to try to improve the integrity of it, it starts with the handicap system, okay? It's flawed. It's not good. It's a terrible system. If you're able to bowl a sport shot and not be sanctioned a sports shot and then come in at 195 and bowl regular league at 195, but you're really a 220 average, the sandbagging, the different bowling alleys that go into it. Maybe you bowl in a tough house or you bowl in an easy house. There's so much, just variables that go into handicap. And then, these tournaments like the ABT that run, and get all these entries. And Mike, it's safe to say maybe like 75 to 80% of the people that are bowling ABTs, are getting a lot of pins, are getting so much handicap that.
Yeah, see, I'll be honest. Like I attended this event over the weekend and I watched a lot, and I gotta say I thought a lot about, what generates this turnout. And I think it's a combination of two things. It's what you said. It's the handicap, right? And the fact that there's people who are probably getting pins over what they really should be getting. Okay.
Talk about the guy who finished the tournament. Talk about the guy who won the tournament.
He's a decent bowler. I mean, he throws it pretty good, and I don't think he was getting a ton of pins. I think his entering average in the tournament was either like 227 or 228, because I actually had a $100 bet with somebody that someone under 228 would actually 228 or under. No, it was 227 or under would win the tournament, and he had 228 or above. And I think this guy was right there, right? So,
but what did he shoot the last four games?
He went. I think something like 279, 278, 299, 278 for the last four. Okay, throwing a cherry vibe the whole tournament, right? Just whacking them. And I also want to say this. I reached out to this guy who won the tournament just today, not only to see if he would be interested in joining our sport league on Tuesday nights, but also to tell him about the practice sessions I'm running and see if he'd be interested in coming on and bowling me for the content on the show, and he might be open to doing it. So, we'll see if there's any follow-up there. The scores were crazy. The scores were crazy. I mean, the two lefties, the other lefty that bowled him is Mike Martell. Mike Martell, who bowls some PBA events, young kid from Brooklyn, reminds me of a young Rob Piershad. He
a lot better than me. A lot better than me.
Yeah, he's got that swag though too. So he actually bowled this kid Brett Streichertz, I think is his last name, and their match was 299 to 279. Yeah.
What kind of?
So,
what
I
is,
mean,
what
like,
is,
I don't
what
know.
is
I don't
sport
know.
gonna
So,
turn into, Mike.
yeah, Joseph, you're asking where's the sport league? Yeah, I know where you're at, Joe. It's a little far from you. It's at Bolero Hazlitt, exit 117 on the Garden State Parkway. A little bit far from you, but the thing that I'm doing, Joe, the sports shop practice that I'm doing is at Nob Hill Country Lanes, which is on Route 33 in Central Jersey. Still a little bit far from you, but like I said, if you want to come out, hit me up and let me know. But
bowling,
Rob, go ahead. What are your thoughts there?
My thoughts are like, what has bowling turned into when these people are bowling matches at 299 to 279, and this guy's averaging 280 or whatever it was for 4 games to win the tournament. Obviously, if you're a 228 average and you're bowling in a handicap tournament, that's a 180. It's an 80% based on 230. You're going to have to probably average that to win the tournament. And I know we talk about, didn't we hear like about Joe Navarro averaging 262 in a summer league? Is this just?
Yeah, can I say? I want to comment on that just for 1 second. The thing that I saw was from Doug LaCourie from Bowlage, and I think his article was kind of comparing Navarro's summer average. It was a doubles league of 262 to Jeff Carter's 261. But and listen, this is no disrespect to Joe Navarro.
He's a great bowler. That kid,
the kid's a beast and can strike when he's striking. Forget it, right? But Jeff Carter bowled in a 5-man league and did that.
Dude,
Rob, come on. There's a big difference between 5-man league and doubles league, right?
100%. Absolutely.
I mean,
no one's gonna. I guarantee you, if you ask Joe Navarro that question, he would even be the first to say, like, but I mean, out of a 5-man league is really
my
impressive.
Goodness, my goodness,
dude.
I know. Like, where are we at? Where are we at? Yes. Where does it stop? So
where does it stop?
Listen, I'm trying. I'm trying to build some grassroots stuff. And I put that out there for everybody. So again, if anybody's interested, feel free to hit me up. I'll give my contact information at the end of the episode here. And obviously, we're going to relate it to the podcast, right, Rob? We're gonna try and use it for some content if we can, and we'll see where it goes. But I definitely want to try and contribute to the movement that I constantly encourage other people to start or to get involved with. So this is my small contribution here. All right, Rob.
Awesome,
more to talk about.
Yeah,
let's talk about big bags.
Bowling.
There
was some real bowling.
Bags.
Real bowling going on last night.
Bags. Josie Big Bags Barnes. 100 G's. 100 G's. I mean, 100 G's. 100 G's is not life-changing money, right? But 100 G's is like serious money to wake up with in your bank account. Dude, like 100 G's is like you wake up feeling pretty good. You got 6 figures in your bank account, I feel.
Dude, 100,000 and a US Open title on top of that, right? Which we all know how much I honor the prestige of the US Open, right? And now you throw 100K on it and it becomes the best tournament in the world, better than the World Series, Mike. But good for her. What a grind though last night. You want to talk about real bowling going on last night?
Yo,
dude,
they were so hard. They were so hard, like you had to throw it straight pretty much.
Man, and I missed Shannon Pluhowski's 279. I was shocked when I saw that.
You know how good I was feeling after she shot that game?
I know. You
because
thought she was going to run the ladder.
I called that she was going to win, and then she comes out in the first match she bowls and shoots 270. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. This is 2000 Shannon Pulowski, Nebraska serial killer. No one can touch her. This is what's going to happen here. And honestly, if she would have went to that game breaker 4 earlier and got out of whatever ball it was she was using before that, I think she would have won that game, Rob. I mean, that game breaker 4 looked close. It looked close. She needed a little bit of, the pressure was on her hand to that ball.
It was her hand position. Her hand position. Right. Dude, I don't think it mattered what she was going to throw. It was just the transition caught her. Okay, the transition was but
it caught both of them though.
It did.
That's what I'm saying. It caught both of them big time, and Tan just found a way to survive it, right? And Shannon went in the other direction and could never just put anything together there. But I don't know. I think if she makes an earlier change, that match might have had a different result. So you had let's go back to the first match though, right? Let's go back to the first match where you had Stephanie Zavala against Zavala against Diana Zavjalova, and I probably mispronounced.
No, you nailed that, dude. That's impressive.
Did I? You think so? I don't know about that. Yeah. So great bowling. Stephanie started out kind of iffy. Her ball choice didn't look very good. And then all of a sudden, once she settled in and made a couple good shots, forget it. I mean, I was super impressed with the way she bowled that game.
Dude, she's still a rookie on tour, that girl, or she was a rookie.
No, she still is, yeah.
She still is.
This is her rookie year.
Still, she's so good. And she might have a running for player of the year even because of how good of a year she had, right?
Yeah.
So
on the other side, Diana Zavjalova, she bowled great and just really could not knock 10 down consistently. Yeah. Howard Forrest, Diana just couldn't carry it all. I mean, clearly, right? Clearly.
Yo, I didn't hear that part, Jimmy. Okay, Kelly Kulik is she's good on the women's announcing broadcast booth. I mean, look, I'm a little bit preferable to Kelly because she's a good friend of mine, but I didn't really get a chance. I was running around last night and I didn't really catch the first match and a half. So I kind of jumped in right as Shannon was finishing her 279 and was like, oh geez, I'm never going to hear the end of this from Mike. Okay. And I was thinking that because Shannon O'Keefe almost made a run too. And I was, I was rooting for her because that was my prediction.
Right.
So, Shannon just transition got her, but she ran over obviously 279. Not really a whole lot to probably talk about in that match.
Right.
Shannon just caught the fresh, right, and she was able to get the ball.
Right. Then we already talked about Shannon Pulaski and Sri Tan. That's where we started. So then you have Tan versus Josie Barnes in the final. And I felt like Josie Barnes's plan for attacking the lanes was very interesting to me because she just did something. I'm going to use this word, simpler. She found a simpler way to play the lanes than anybody else there that night. And that's why she won that telecast. You look at all 4 of the other players on that telecast, and the way that they were playing the lanes were in many instances very, very complicated and very touchy. If they made a mistake, they were going to pay for that mistake. And even the person who I felt executed the best, and that was Diana Zavjalova, her look didn't allow her to put anything together. So Josie Barnes comes on and she plays them dead straight, right? Kind of taking a lot of the reaction out of it, and super successful for the $100,000 win. It's amazing. Props to the USBC. Rob, we gave props to Bolero when they put out big prize funds. Props to the USBC. Props to Chad Murphy and his team. However they managed to put up these prize funds, get this done. It was awesome to see professional bowlers on the women's side bowling for that kind of money.
Right. And I agree with that. Look, we always talk about how, 20,000 or 25,000 or whatever the money was for the US Open was a joke. Now it becomes an actual, these majors are so much better, especially with you, Mike, because you always were pressing for money. But here's my take, right? Is how do you was it Cherry? Is that how you say it? Her name, Cherry Tan?
Cherie, I don't know.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'll be a little bit brutal here. Her game didn't impress me. Okay, it didn't. Like it just.
It's simple.
I mean,
it's simple and repetitive.
She made the show, and it was a great show just because it was a US Open. It was on TV and it was women's bowling. But the entertainment value of it, it was a little bit kind of. There wasn't a whole lot of entertainment value for me on the shows, just because the personalities were just, the Josie story to me was the best storyline, because of her losing her mom, and then, her having the story about going into the bookstore and then seeing this book. And, the drama to me was the storyline for Josie. And I was really pulling for her because of the fact. But when it came to someone like Cherry Tan, there was no input on this girl. I don't even know where, what her story was. There was no background even about like anything about her, right? So I kind of feel like they were missing a little bit of maybe they could have made it a better storyline if Cherry Tan had, maybe I'm sure has her own story, right? That I would kind of like to hear. But, look, I'm always a little bit critical and always feel like the shows could be better. So anyway, other than that, that's kind of my takes from it. But it's great to see women's bowling on live TV, even though I hate CBS Sports Network. Hate that network with a passion because not everybody has it. And it's sometimes tough to find it even. And but good to see 100,000 for a major for US Open, 100%.
No doubt. All right, Rob. In other news, there's a big birthday, a big anniversary. In the bowling game today.
The Evil Empire, as you like to call them, or as the normal people out there call them, Storm Bowling is celebrating 30 years of being a bowling ball company, and I like to say a pretty successful bowling ball company, right? So I kind of like to use a little bit of time to talk about Storm. In your opinion, the best Storm ball ever made, and I like to throw this out to our fans out there listening. What do you think the best Storm ball ever made was? And what do you think the worst Storm ball ever made was? Okay, it's easy to talk about the best Storm stuff, but here in Sweep the Rack, we love to talk about, the worst Storm ball ever made. So I'll go first, okay? The best Storm ball ever made to me was the original Black Thunder. Okay, I had 2 or 3 of them as a junior. Made some really, really won a lot of tournaments. Made a good run at the Team Masters with it. So to me, that was the best Storm ball, Mike. I'm gonna pass it to you, and then we're gonna talk worst Storm ball ever made.
I mean, do you want me to give the right answer, or do you want me to give my personal answer?
How about give both? Because look, like we're not
okay. All right. So the right answer is the high road. That's the right answer.
Okay, the best Storm ball ever made.
The high road is Storm's best ball ever made. It's probably one of the best bowling balls ever made. Period. It's still around. That says enough. So we'll get that out of the way. My best Storm ball ever is such an easy choice for me. Such an easy choice.
Ooh, can I guess?
It's the Firestorm.
Iris is gonna
the Firestorm.
I love that ball. I mean, it's so good.
That ball
top 3.
I had never seen a bowling ball do the things that ball did when it first came out. It was like it was a very strong, aggressive pearl ball when it first released, and I whacked them with that ball everywhere I went. As a sophomore in high school, I went into another team's bowling center, and they were like heavily favored against us in the playoffs, and I went front 8 the last game and shot like 730 something with that ball for all 3 games. Yeah, just absolutely crazy good ball.
Oh, I remember watching Robert Smith throw that ball on TV. That ball would go sideways, right? Just
crazy.
Just like the green Forest Fire. Remember the Forest Fire, the green one? That was kind of.
I remember that. I remember that being an earlier rolling ball.
It was smoother, but it was, to me, when that was one of the greatest eras of Storm, when they right around there, and then the Black Thunder and Lightning came out, right? And those 2 balls were fantastic. So Storm has been, Victory Road, the High Road series, all the road series is always pretty good, right? But like that's when they really started making a name for themselves, right? When they started making that era of bowling, right when they first kind of started. Okay, let's talk worst bowling ball ever made. Okay, because this is, look, a lot of people saying the IQ Tour Solid, right? That's another ball that would probably put up there with the High Road, right, Mike? It's been in production for years, right? And it doesn't look like they're discontinuing that. To me, the worst storm ball ever made was the Storm Lucid. I don't know if anybody ever threw the Storm Lucid, but dude, that ball was such garbage. The thing burnt out at my feet. The ball left 8 10s, 5 10s. It was so bad for me. And I really think that was because it was such a strong asymmetrical ball that I could never get the ball to really like go down the lane. It just kind of burnt out at the arrows. And to me, that was probably one of the worst storm balls ever made was the Storm Lucid. I kind of like to hear what people would say in the chat room about the worst storm ball ever made. But to me, that was my worst ball.
It's so hard for me to identify bad bowling balls for some reason, even though I've definitely had my fair share. I'm trying to think. There was a storm ball that I remember in college. I don't remember the name, that had like a big S and a big P on it. And
yeah, it's a green, right? It was like a
green
swirl.
It was like a bluish green. Yeah,
it was a power, something power, right?
Power. I remember that being a pretty big dud with me.
What about a timeless? What about the timeless? The first.
No, I don't. Ball? I've never thrown it. I've never thrown a lot of them.
Me neither.
But personally, for me, out of all the storm stuff I drilled, the one ball that I remember not liking too much was the Meteor Storm.
What?
It was like a red.
Used to throw that all the time.
It was like a red sparkly ball, and it was very wobbly. It was very wobbly. You're right.
It cost us a lot of money, that IQ Tour Emerald. Anyway, happy birthday to Storm. Right, 30 years.
And can I say, I joke about the Evil Empire. Okay, it's a joke, people. All right, don't take me. In fact, there was a conversation on Twitter this week where I retweeted Walter Ray showing up to a college team's practice, and then I said, "Oh, how cool is this?" And we never had anything like this. All we had was a local action legend who told us he could get us stuff from Storm and then stole our money and never gave us the bowling balls. Now, I'm not going to give all the details on this story. It did actually happen. I did not personally get scammed in it, but I had people from my college team come out of the woodwork on Twitter and remind me that the people at Storm actually did make right by the guys on my college team who got scammed by this person. So they actually sent them the balls, even though they never got the money for those balls. And I know it's good people over there. I get it. I joke, folks. I joke about the Evil Empire. It's like the Yankees. You know what I'm saying?
Mike, so I pulled up a comment by Siege the Deej, which I love the name.
Think, Rob, I think this is probably one of my former students.
Okay,
I think it's probably one of my former students here, yeah.
But it's a good question. What's the most expensive bowling ball you guys bought? Okay, now, but this is before we used to get free shit, and I used to get free shit.
I don't get free anything. I don't know what he's talking about.
When the Brunswick first came out with their Quantum series, right? The green Quantums, the fire Quantums, the violet Quantums, right? Those
first $200 bowling ball.
First $200 bowling ball.
First $200 bowling ball. Yeah.
That I've ever seen my mom put up money, right, to buy me as a 15-year-old, right?
You got a $200 Quantum, son?
I did.
You were spoiled, dog.
I was. You know how many?
That's because Rob's dad was a doctor. So
he was, and he
was bringing in the bank. Okay,
all kinds of bank. But the Quantum series, that violet Quantum was amazing bowling.
Let me say, us JBT bowlers down at Thunderbird Lanes in Philly and Levittown Lanes in Levittown, we didn't have none of those $200 Quantums. That was out of the question for us.
Dude, I was, man. I used to get all kinds of shit, man. You see, and people know about, dude, but I was the high school, self-proclaimed high school bowling goat right here, like Midwood High School, man. I used to dominate.
I remember
the city championship. So
I remember when the purple Quantum came out. and that was even higher priced at the time. And a guy at my local center, Thunderbird Lanes, drilled it and didn't like it and gave it to me. And I was like, oh my God, I was in heaven. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This guy just gave me a purple quantum. This is unbelievable. And the ball did end up stinking. It was a boat anchor. It was terrible.
My purple quantum was amazing, dude. I used to but I think it was drilled with like 3 ounces of side weight at the time.
Okay.
The guy I drilled it from didn't have a weight scale. So, I think a lot of that scholarship money I probably should have forfeit. Anyway, so happy birthday to Storm. Look, like you guys do a lot for the bowling. I know they're involved in a lot of behind the scenes. I don't think a lot of people realize how much they do for the sport of bowling, and the Chrismans, how well respected they are in this industry, because they really are well respected people. And, look, to run a bowling ball company to what they've done in 30 years, Mike, is just a shout to them, and how great of a business owners they are, and how much they actually do care about their bowlers and the people who work for their company. Not sure if you knew this, Mike, but I did actually interview for a job at Storm. They flew me out, and I did interview and spent about 2 days at the Storm manufacturing and facility to get a job there. And just things didn't work out with them. But, I went to go see their facility and see their company, and they got a great thing over there. There's a reason why they've been as big and dominant as they have been for all these years, is because they do things right there. So shout outs to Storm, man. We'll hopefully another 30 years, and we'll see where the bowling balls go from here. But yeah, Mike, I mean, that's all I got on that. So what do you think? Is that time?
It's time. It's time. Let's give the people what they want.
Sir.
All right, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, because I'm looking for mine right now that I know is a good one. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My post this week for worst of the week. I'm not going to comment much on this. I think this is kind of self-explanatory, to be honest with you. It comes from the Hammer Bowling message boards, and I got to say, Rob, Hammer Bowling. We might have to talk to Bill. The Hammer Bowling message boards are like beginning to rival the USBC discussion board. I'm serious. Like we may have to talk to him and get some of these people straight. Worst of the week this week for me goes to Jeremy E. Browning. Jeremy E. Congratulations. One worst of the week. Here's his post that I gave him worst of the week for. You ready?
I'm ready.
Question for the day. Why are you not supposed to swing your thing?
What?
Exactly. Exactly, Rob.
Dude,
exactly.
That's just too funny.
So
yeah, I guess people are really it's amazing when you read these posts and comments. Like, these people actually are sitting around wondering this, like really, really like thinking, and so they have to actually post because it's bothering them. Why can't he swing his urethane ball, Mike? Why don't you think he can't swing his urethane? Do you have any guesses?
Well, I mean, if you can't swing the urethane, you probably don't have enough strap hoss. I mean, that would be my answer, right? That would be my answer.
Lord.
Either you don't have enough strap hoss, or you got the wrong urethane. You got the ancient urethane. You need the new urethane. You need the cheater urethane. Some would say you might got the non-cheater urethane. You need the cheater urethane, as some would say. Perhaps you're using the wrong style of one-handed as opposed to two-handed. If you can't swing the urethane, you might want to switch to two-handed. But no, I highlighted that for worst of the week just because, honestly, it just baffles my mind how much misinformation, wrong information, incorrect viewpoints are out there in the bowling community that just, that are just there and just continue to exist, and like no one cares, no one does anything to correct it, etc. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, like there's this thing that people believe and it's not even correct, but nah, whatever, let them believe it. And I don't know. I don't really think that's great for the game, but okay, go ahead, Rob.
So question, before I go into mine, Did you ever reach the place in Arkansas that we tried to call last week? The Carter
No, so
Lanes?
I called them and they answered tonight, and then I wasn't prepared for them to answer, so I just hung up, and then I hit you up like, hey, they answered. What do you want to do with it? And we kind of discussed it, and I was like, all right, I'll call back. And when I called back, they sent me right to voicemail. So I guess they knew. I guess word was out.
You think word was out? You think they got now? You think? I mean, should we try to call them on air, or you don't want to avoid that smoke?
I'm concerned about laws. I'm concerned about breaking laws. Honestly, my intent on this podcast is not to break any laws. So,
Okay.
I'm not going to call them on the air again. But I will give them a call and see if we can get an answer. Perhaps get somebody on the show to discuss their policies. But then I saw something on Facebook that said that post was from several years ago, and it wasn't a recent thing. So,
well, I saw the comments because this person who owns the bowling center, I think his name was Stacy Roberts, was commenting, and they were like, the whole thread was going on where the owner was actually commenting about stuff, and it was pretty interesting because I guess the owner was kind of going off the rails a little bit, but he made a good point about it in the fact where that people were bringing in like liquor and outside, like alcohol and outside food. And I guess, he just got a bad like rap for just trying to get this thing under control. And I guess I made a comment on the thread that was just like, look, like people wouldn't have to bring in outside food if your snack bar was worth anything. Okay. Because I remember back, any bowling alley that we've ever been to, when the snack bar food was legit, I mean, like really good, dude, you never would bring in outside food. You would always be excited to go get something to eat right from that snack bar. So I guess, they have to work on their bowling center and whatever. I just was curious if I know you might have followed up with them, and I was wondering. So question, I can't find the post that I wanted to put up for some reason. I don't know what happened to it. I'm not sure if I commented or if I talked about the thumb sock. Did I do that one for worst of the week about the guy in the thumb sock? Did I? I don't know. God, where is this? I'm pissed off because I had this thing queued up and now I can't find it on my phone. So here it is. If you've already heard this one for worst of the week, I apologize in advance. It's by Lee Cohen on the USBC message board, the gift that keeps on giving. Question. I used to be really good, like always in the top 2 in any bowling alley, except when I bowled in a regional national PBA tournaments. Did I do this one already?
I don't think so.
Just coming back to bowl, I was too sore to continue in 1998. My balls are too heavy, and if I continue, I will get new balls and shoes. Now, my question is, I see Brunswick has a thumb sock. I always use heavy skin protection. New skin with the net plus cotton. Will this sock work, and do I need larger thumb hole to use it? I know I write long. Thanks in advance. So I responded. Boy. I got tagged by Ian Lang, okay? Literally, the post was up at like 8 a.m., and he commented in my name at like 8:01 a.m., okay? And
he's dumpster diving.
Someone else commented, sweep the rack. And then I had another comment that tagged me all within 5 minutes of this post, all right? So, by the way, people, I love that shit. That makes my whole morning and my work. And I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, everybody's tagging me because they know this is going to be on worst of the week. I wrote, sorry, I can't help. I don't have a whole lot of experience using net plus cotton thumb socks. So it was definitely, people are definitely trying to buy thumb socks to use and net plus cotton to make their balls feel better. So to me, that was the worst of the week.
Sounds like they got bigger problems than the USBC message board. I don't know.
Yeah, thumb socks and net plus cotton. Always good. So that's worst of the week. Always my favorite.
All right, Rob. Final thoughts. Jeff Lindemuth in the chat saying he's going to send us another box of grip sacks. I appreciate it, Jeff. You don't have to do that. We appreciate it. Do me a favor, though. Email me for my address this time and send them to me so that I can hold on to them for 6 months and give them out to everybody and then send them to Rob. So send them my way this time.
Yeah, you can send them to Mike. I'm sure Mike.
I didn't need his permission, Jeff. I didn't need his permission. He's given permission like I need. I didn't need his permission. Just hit me up.
Nico, always good to see you in the chat. He's one of our guys here. We have some bowling this weekend, PBA 50 and PBA Junior. Always good to see PBAs. My final thoughts is, Mike, I still haven't seen the PBA schedule. Still been looking for it. I know there's maybe some surprise event going down, I guess, per Tom Clark, and then in September, October sometime. I kind of know what that is. I don't really want to give that away. I don't want to
text me about that. I want to know that. Text me about that when we get off.
Once I tell you what it is, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. It's probably something they're gonna steal from something somewhere.
No. It's the same. I'll tell you about it, and if we want to talk about it. But then there's a strike derby sometime, which we'll see about betting on that this time around. So I guess my final thoughts would be look, like I want to see a bowling schedule, PBA schedule out. These guys, we need I feel bad for a lot of the pros because how do you schedule? How do you plan on next year? It's already September. You got to start planning ahead, right? Like what your schedule looks like. It's a tour, right? You can't just do it up in a half day. You have to figure out stuff, travel arrangements, right? Like people have things to do, plans. I don't know. I just feel like the schedule should hopefully be out right in the next few weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully we'll take a look. And Rob, again, we got to talk off there. I want to do our own schedule before the PBA schedule comes out. I want to throw out our own schedule and what we think would be good.
Yeah, dude. How about a worst of the week Rosenbag?
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
We'll send it to Tim Buck and see if he'll accept it.
Yeah, no
Mike,
doubt.
What do you got, Mike?
Final thoughts, man. My sport league, man. I'm still a little concerned about whether it's going to get off the ground or not. I'm sure a lot of people in the bowling community have experienced a situation like this where we're not 100%. The league's supposed to start on Tuesday. We're not 100% sure how many teams we have. It's looking like 10, but then we have other teams in the league that are saying if we don't get 10 teams, they're going to drop out. So if we don't have 10, we're definitely not bowling with 9. And if it gets down to 7, I just have a feeling that other people are going to say, no, it's just not worth it to bowl with 7 teams. It's disappointing to me, man. It is. It's really disappointing. I had some conversation and some argument with people this past week at when we wrapped up our house league for the summer, just about how I would rather bowl a sports shot league with 6 teams than a house shot league with 60. I just don't care. It's not about the pots or the side action or the prize money or anything. It's not about that. It's about, challenging myself. It's about bowling on something challenging. It's about good competition, on something that's fair and that you have to execute on. So yeah, I'm somewhat concerned. But like I said, I'm going to try and build my own grassroots thing going forward. So we'll see where that goes. I'm also considering entering a tournament, Rob. There's a dual pattern tournament, short and long, Wolf and Badger, the first weekend of October at Lodi Lane. So I'm going to see if I can get clearance from the better half to go to that and to attend that. And yeah, that's about it, man. Bowling season is coming back, Rob. I hope we can fend off COVID long enough for bowling to continue its comeback.
Yeah, it's tough because this is just shit you don't have any control over. So whatever. I don't feel like it's going to shut down this time around, but I don't really trust a lot of people right now that are in charge. So anyway, we'll see what happens, Mike. Appreciate it, man. Good luck to you. Hopefully we get
another show.
Happy Labor Day.
Yeah, happy Labor Day. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Be safe out there. If you want to hit us up, sweeptherack@gmail. He's at BrooklynRob11 on Twitter. I'm at the 215th. Joe Gratz, we talk on Instagram, Joe. So you have my Instagram account on there. If you want to hit me up, definitely hit me up and reach out if you want to come out and do something there. Rob, have a wonderful weekend, man. Have a great week. Not a ton of bowling action going on, but a couple things to stay on top of, and we will for the people. And always enjoyable, man. Always enjoyable to chop it up. And let me say thanks to all of you guys, because want to know what today. You want to know what today was, Rob? Today was my first day back to work, and it's usually the worst day of the year when I go back to work after the summer's over. But having the podcast here to do and having some stuff to chop it up about made it a little bit easier. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate the opportunity to come and chop it up for sure. And we'll see everybody next week.
All right, man. Everyone, peace. Later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.